Interview just now with CNBC, the head of the IEA, Fatih Birol, essentially answered that question, and he said to me that he believes that the Ukraine war actually has galvanized the move to renewable energies. Want to pick up on that, Frans?
Well, obviously, we're speeding up our transition to renewables because as Europeans, we have no alternatives. The only sovereignty we can get in the energy field is by increasing renewables. We have very little gas left, we have very little coal left, we have no oil. So for us, it's a matter of survival that we do this. And by the way, renewables are becoming so cheap, it's also the best business model we can develop. But let's not forget that countries also invested more than $1 trillion in the fossil sector in the last year. So it's not all good news. And investments you do in fossil fuels now have a long-term ripple effect and will not make the transition in that sector easier. So it's good news, but it's not only good news. The only good news I can add to that is that in Europe, the need for fossils is going to be reduced very, very quickly. So although, now, for instance, in Germany, almost half of the electricity is produced with coal, sadly, but it's only going to be a very relatively short period of time. So it will not derail us from our climate goals if we get our homework done. And the homework is, what I need to do is my homework to make permitting easier, to increase the effectiveness of the supply chains. We need to think in terms of friendshoring so that we develop new, supply chains not limited to Europe, but with less dependency on China. All these things need to happen at the same time. If we do that, then I agree with Fatih Birol's analysis. But it's not only good news, I would say. It's not only good news. And if I can just respond to the minister from Pakistan. As a young man, my father served in Pakistan for a number of years. So as a student, I had the opportunity to travel in your country, sir, and I came to love it. And if I see the destruction today, it is almost mind-boggling because it's going to have such long-term effects. It's not just a flood like we sometimes have in Europe and then you reconstruct it. The devastation to the agricultural sector, the devastation to people's livelihoods. So we have a global responsibility to keep supporting Pakistan in restructuring. But this will not be the only catastrophe that will happen to humanity in the years to come. So we also need to increase our resilience in terms of being able to respond to this. For this, we need to change the global financial system. We need to put the World Bank, the IMF, the MDBs in a completely different position than they are today. So we have so much work to do. It's not just about helping one country that is in a horrible position today. It's about preparing ourselves for more climate catastrophes that will come and that we can respond as humanity better to that. The instruments we're using today were created for the world of 1945. They have to be restructured to serve the world of this century.
But isn't it absurd that we're having this conversation about the geopolitics of the energy transition and not one of us on this stage is an oil and gas producer? Because we're going to have oil and gas for the foreseeable future.
But if you again ask me that question, we have the incredible opportunity of having Sultan AlJabbar as president of the incoming COP, who is not just an oil executive, he's also someone who's had 20 years experience of investing in renewables. Now, if there's someone who can take these executives, grab them by their clothes, drag them together and say, it's about time you used all these profits to invest in renewables and not give everything to your shareholders, but give it back to society so that we go into this transition with a lot more sense of urgency. I think Sultan can deliver that. I hope he can deliver that, and we'll certainly encourage him to deliver that, working towards COP28.